Welcome to our Wednesday mastermind session. And this is a little bit more in depth with I don't want to say lecture, but it's a little more in depth with pre-made content. And definitely urging you to pause at any point, take notes, and put these things into play. That this is not one of those sessions where you hear it and it's magic and suddenly it's ingrained in your brain and you're doing all these new habits. It's not hypnotherapy. So making sure that this is something that you follow up with. So I would make sure that you do take notes, and you put this into daily practice. Now, as always, it does go hand in hand with what we're doing in other sessions within the Business Growth Lab. So you will see some overlap, you will see some repeating things, and that's because the mind learns through repetition. So many of us struggle in business with finding the motivation and struggling with consistency in our businesses. And I really wanted to hit on that today for our mindset and motivation. So within the month, we do one mindset and motivation each month. And in this month, we really are talking more about like, what is motivation? Let's get back to basics on this. So, hopefully I didn't skip ahead. I don't want to give you too many. Here we go. So, let's start with how do you define, and I think I still might have skipped one more. There we go. What we're focusing on today. So I use the 80/20 rule a lot, and I found it really hits on a lot of things. And this is definitely something that not only I hear in the business world, but I also hear in the manifestation world and within the business world for those who are also manifestors. So true is success is 80% mindset and 20% strategy. And I've mentioned this several times that even Harvard research studies are showing that 20% of what you're doing is what is moving the needle. 80% typically is either busy work or stuff that we could be handing off and getting other people to do that we don't need to be doing as the business owners. Now, I say that recognizing that as business owners, in the beginning, we are doing a lot and we need to be focusing. And again, this is something I teach more in the Million Maker Business Blueprint. And one of those books I typically recommend is 10x is better than 2x. And really looking at like how are you getting stuff off your plate as fast as possible within your business, that if you are making money and money's coming in, that we need to be aiming higher than just paying ourselves, and that our pay might be a little less in the beginning because we need to be reinvesting back in the business. And the reinvesting part really is this: having tasks that you can start to delegate, things that you can start getting off of your plate, because the business is not going to grow if you are just continuing to max yourself out all of the time. There's no room to grow. So, 80% mindset, 20% strategy. And, you know, if you don't take the right actions, then you won't grow. And if you don't have the space or the capacity or the mindset to take those right actions, then you're not going to grow. And so today's our top three things that we're going to be covering is how your mindset controls your motivation and success, the truth about motivation. We're going to talk about why it's overrated. And you're like, well, if I'm not motivated, then what do I do? And how to create a system that helps you to keep taking daily action. Now, we already have Magic Monday really is something not just to implement on Monday, but to do every single day. We just start the week off with it as a group so that you can start and get that, an object in motion stays in motion, but it's the inertia to push it is the harder part. So that's what Monday is really for. And action can be really hard, right? Like there is a huge difference between knowing what to do and actually doing it. And a lot of us really do know what we could do in our business, but we struggle to take the action. And a lot of that is the mindset around it. So I'm going to ask yourself, or I want you to ask yourself, have you ever felt stuck waiting for motivation to strike before taking action? Have you ever been there? I mean, I've definitely been there. I'm not gonna lie. Um, and over time, I've realized more and more that I cannot be attached to that. So by the end of this session, you'll have a framework, a simple framework to shift your mindset, generate motivation on demand, and take action consistently, regardless of how you feel. Because there's a difference between motivated, how we feel, and then taking action. All right. So it's a little peek. So our conversation to start with, and I really invite you to write this down if you're not here live. Write this down, journal about it so you can pause and take a moment. How do you define success in your business? And so often we have a general idea, but like, how are you going to know when you achieve success? Now, if you recall from the book study, Start With Why, he defines success as a feeling, as an alignment, and an achievement is that checkbox, like I got there. But a lot of us really define success as like this never-ending finish line. And so we never feel successful. So I really want you to get super clear about what successful means for you. And if you can break that down into what is the achievement versus what is the alignment of like, who do I need to be a successful person? Not as a checkbox, not as like, oh, I've written 5 books and I make this much money every year. Have those listed still too. But in order to step into that, in order to create that, we also need to define it and what it means to us. Otherwise, again, we have an undefined finish line that just keeps moving and we're running in that direction. And of course, you're going to feel exhausted. Of course, you're going to feel burnt out. So, we really want to know this and talk about this before we really dive in because, you know, we need to have the intention of like, where are we going? Even as we move through this presentation today, to say, like, what's the intention for me wanting motivation, right? Where am I headed? Where am I going? Um, a lot of times people associate success with freedom, and we need to define what freedom means for you and your business as well. So, getting really clear about these things and having the clarity. All right, so let's dive in to the 3 levels of mindset that impact the success of your business. All right. So, uh, it's really easy to hit a plateau in your business. Has anyone done that? Have you ever like you felt like you were going and then you hit a plateau and you got stuck there for a little bit and then it was like, oh, I got to put in a whole new level of work and I have to up level and hit another place. And a lot of that time is like we're hanging out in that plateau, waiting for that mindset shift so that we can make the strategy work. Because often there's something that we're avoiding in order to do. But as we get into these 3 mindset, these levels, one of those levels is your belief. And as we were just talking about, like, what do you believe about success as well? Like, do you believe it's possible for you? Um, do you have past stories that you're hung on to from other people, from yourself, that you're hanging on to about what's really truly possible? Are you willing to do something different and do something that you've never seen before, doing something like to step into the unknown and create something amazing? Are you allowing yourself to, one, we have to get ourselves out of survival mode, so we have to take time to do meditation or self-care activities that help us get out of survival mode and relax the nervous system so that we can think outside the box. Think outside of what other people are defining as possible. Defining our own level of success and success for our business, success for ourselves, like, and beginning to write the stories that we want to step into. The second one is identity mindset. All right. Like, I think we've all heard of imposter syndrome. And a lot of times we don't take action because we're not confident. But the truth is, and I really have enjoyed studying confidence over the years. I like got into this groove where I was like really studying it pretty intensely and trying to read all these books about confidence. And what I ended up like taking all of this insurmountable information and boiled it down to was confidence comes with action. We don't have confidence and then take action. We take action, and our confidence is the building up of trust and how much we trust ourselves. And that can be trusting your intuition, which means you have to listen to your intuition more in order to trust it. That unless you're a person that's just like, here, I'm going to give you all of my trust until you prove otherwise, most of us aren't. Although we can say that we are, most of us aren't. That we need some data, some proof to build that confidence up. And if we are seeking confidence from an external source, from people outside of us, whatever it might be, then we're never going to build that confidence for ourselves. So we have to step into it and say, I don't know what I'm doing, and that's okay. I'm going to be malleable. I'm going to listen. I'm going to be aware. I'm going to be in the moment, and I'm going to like gain the skills I need, and I'm going to build my confidence. Because we're not going to just sit here and wish ourselves into confidence. We're not going to overthink ourselves into confidence. It's not going to happen. So if you don't see yourself as successful, you're also going to subconsciously sabotage your own success, right? You're going to be like, I don't have what it takes. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I don't have enough experience. All these things come in and what? So, for example, speaking, this has come up a lot. I've heard a lot of people going, I need more speaking opportunities. And then when it's like, who wants to speak? No one raises their hand. And a lot of times it's like, I'm not ready. I don't know what to talk about. And instead of stepping up, and this is what I've done a lot of, so I'm speaking from experience, meaning I'm just going, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm saying I need more speaking. I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to figure it out as I go. I'm going to wing it. And knowing that you might fail, but you might fail if you're not prepared. And you can still be prepared and you can still fail. And I have failed plenty of times. And it's my ability to say, I'm just going to be fully in the moment and I'm just going to be authentic and be real. And if I mess up, then I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, I messed up. Because I used to think that, like, I was like, oh my gosh, everyone's paying attention to my mess up. They noticed this one little thing. And over time, I really realized, right? You've probably experienced this. Um, no one noticed the mistake. They thought you did it intentionally. And you just wing it and you go with it. And to just own it. And some people think, oh, well, that's confidence. But that's the level of fake it till you make it. Not wearing a mask. It's being in the moment and just going with what's coming at you. And that continues to build, and you get better and better at that the more you do it. Unfortunately and fortunately, I've just been thrown a lot of things that I didn't know how to navigate that I mean, I can't even tell you like the first three jobs I ever had was no training here, throw you in, wing it, bye, we're gone, do it by yourself. And I will tell you as a young adult, uh, I could have been like frantic and be like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's like, okay, I'm in the moment. Let's try to rationalize these things and figure it out. And was it the book Marie Forleo wrote, like everything's figure outable, and just having that mindset. So a little exercise that you can do is write down, I'm the type of person who, and I encourage you to write this down as the person you want to become, the person you want to be, the skills you want to have. Don't worry about who you are and what you think about yourself. Like release that because you get to choose in this moment who you want to be and start stepping into that. You get the chance every single day to redefine yourself. Now, we got to be careful because, like, branding wise, we don't want to like keep rebranding ourselves, but you get to keep defining yourself and choosing to show up as the person you want to become. And if you fell apart yesterday or things didn't work out as planned, guess what? Today's a new start. And if you're like, I want to show up with confidence, I want to show up as the business owner, I want to show up as a successful business owner, then you get to choose to show up in that way. And I cannot tell you how true this is. How, oh my goodness, like suddenly just believing in yourself and showing up in a room and owning it. You have to own it first before other people will do the same. You have to lead by example of how you want others to treat you, how you want others people to view you. Cannot say that enough. I have seen it so much, even more so this past year. It's been quite amazing. Um, just believing in yourself and doing the things and taking the leap and taking imperfect action. And I will say, like, even just writing the damn book, like, how many people have taken me much more, so much more serious and talked to me differently just after that. And it was like, I could have written this book forever ago. It was only me that was getting in the way. And I'm seeing that more and more with clients. Like, it's just becoming so much apparent, like, right, like veils unveil themselves and that is just purely us getting in our own way. We are our biggest obstacle. Whatever you think is the obstacle, it is really just you. So I encourage you to write down who you are and write it down as in, I am the type of person who makes money easily, commands the attention of a room when I walk into it, like whatever you want that to be, whatever you need that to be to step into that version. And then action mindset, as we've kind of already alluded to, is but thinking about it, what do you do on a daily basis to reinforce your success? What are you doing on a daily basis to reinforce your success? I joke all the time, based on Vedic and yoga philosophy, that they use this words that we have amnesia of our full potential. And we get these moments, we get these glimmers of what's possible and everything that could be. And then we quickly forget it. And the same thing is you'll write something amazing, you'll do this amazing work in your business, and then suddenly you'll forget it the next day. And that's why we need this daily check-in with our business. And we've been talking about these like one pager where you can type in your goals and everything for the month and track. And that has to become a habit. And I really so recommend, like, I've seen how my business has skyrocketed and then stagnation and skyrocket and then fall back. And the key thing that I did each and every time, one of the key things was tapping into that sheet or something like it, where it was every single day I was checking in with my goals and making sure that I was doing the things that I told myself I wanted to do and had spent the time making the plan, and then I had to keep checking in with the plan. And I made the time to put the things on my calendar. I have to check in with my calendar. I have my calendar open at all times. And in between appointments, I'm checking that calendar because I made that for myself. Someone else didn't tell me what I have to do. I made that for myself. And sometimes it's beautiful. Like I knew myself and I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late to that meeting. I better tell myself I have to be there 30 minutes early. And I did. I got there. I thought I was late. And they were like, oh, you're really early. Do you want to sit over there before we open up the room? And I sat there and you know what I did? I went through all those business cards in my purse and started messaging people. I didn't scroll on my phone because I had my list, my three things for each day that I need to get done. And so I knew that was one of the things on my list, and I took every little moment to do it. Success isn't about the big leaps, it's about the daily, consistent action. And I'm sure you all already know that, but I really want you to feel it. If you say you want success, but your actions are not aligned, there is a disconnect. Your mindset determines your results, but your action creates the momentum. And that's really what you're trying to lean on motivation for, is that you want momentum. You need something to like give you that little kickstart. And I had to tell someone this the other day. They were like, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything. And I said, then rest. Just take one action today. And guess what? She took that one action and suddenly she's doing all this stuff and messaging me. And like, it just takes the one action. But we have to sometimes trick that mind. So let's talk about why most people struggle with motivation and how to fix it. Next slide. We'll get there, right? All right. So I think we're on four. Let's go to five. All right. So the motivation myth, why you don't need it. So we got some truth bombs here. Um, Motivation is unreliable. Motivation comes and goes. Instead of chasing motivation, create an environment that pulls you into action. Let's say that again. Instead of chasing motivation, create an environment that pulls you into action. So here's your truth bombs. Motivation is a chemical state. It's dopamine and emotions fluctuate. And typically, when we talk about motivation, we're talking about a feeling or an emotion that we wish we had. And if you really truly wanted motivation, then you go watch some motivational video, get yourself motivated. You'd have like a motivation like ritual to get yourself motivated because motivation is just getting your emotions up higher. Really, what you're wanting is someone to push you. You're wanting someone to give you that kickstart. And if that's the case, if you really, really want something, then you would create the discipline and the environment and just take the action because motivation is not, honestly, it's not a real thing. It's not what we think it is. So if you only work when you feel motivated, you'll never be consistent. Never. Because you're waiting to have the right feeling to be motivated. And honestly, truly, again, action will then get you motivated. So you just have to start the action, and then that feeling of motivation will come afterwards. High performers, successful people, what we call successful people, they don't rely on motivation. They rely on their habits, they rely on their discipline, they rely on the things that they put in place. They don't wait to feel good to do the thing. Okay, so they don't rely on, or well, what they do rely is on systems, accountability, momentum. You can create momentum, right? And I think a lot of times we confuse that word motivation with momentum. So another part of this motivation myth is, and our motivation and what we need is three ways to stay in motion. So again, I'm going to keep reiterating an object in motion stays in motion. If we, and I don't mean don't take breaks from your business, please do. You do need that. But completely pulling yourself away from it and avoiding your business will kill the momentum. Okay. So having consistency in your business will help keep the momentum and keep the motivation going. Now, I know for me, sometimes it's hard if I take like a weekend away or a week vacation. Sometimes I really struggle with getting back to work and getting back in that flow and getting back in that groove and getting my momentum back. So sometimes what I'll do is my meditation during vacation or time off is spent more time on like doing the mindset and the visualizations and doing less like actual work so that when I get back to work, I feel refreshed because I got to take a break from the doing, but I didn't fully take a break from being in the mindset of my mission. Okay. So, first thing is tie your actions to a bigger purpose. That's your why. That's who you're serving and who you're going to serve today. If you struggle with clarity, write this down. If you struggle with clarity, you will struggle to stay consistent. If you struggle with clarity, you will struggle to stay consistent. So, again, that's why if you need to take the breaks to focus on getting more clarity. And I fought that. Oh my gosh, I fought that for years. And anytime I am in a place of lack and like struggling, I know it's my clarity. And really have to take the time to make time to get really clear. And that can also be if you are depleted and you are in survival mode, you might need to do some self-care activities and a little bit more than normal. So that's where that rest can come in. Let yourself have that like melting feeling and then get to clarity and then get to action. Okay. Two is use quick wins to build that momentum. As I just said, right? Start with one action. What's one thing? What's one thing? That can build up momentum. An object in motion will stay in motion. So small wins create motivation. For example, instead of like, I need to make 10K, right? Like that's me. Um, I have to shift myself into what can I really do right now, which is I'm going to send 3 messages. I'm just going to send 3 messages. And then normally the conversations get started or an idea pops into my head. And then before I know it, I'm going. So, of course, I know a lot of you know this too, but like break those big goals into micro actions that you could complete in 5 to 10 minutes. Micro actions that you can complete in 5 to 10 minutes. Number 3 is to create an environment that supports success. And you might think environment going like my office, like does my office make me feel successful? Like this office does, my home office, not maybe not so much. But there's also surrounding yourself with people who matter, surrounding yourself with the stuff that actually matters. Are you in a space where the norm is procrastination? Maybe you go sit at a coffee shop. Maybe you sit outside. Maybe you sit at a park. Um, I was just talking to someone. They're like, I started doing pet sitting and then I do my work at the people's houses because it gets me out of my house. I'm like, great, if that works. Do you need better mentors? Do you need coaching? Do you need more community? Are you showing up consistently with the resources that you even have available? So let's talk about the daily money making action plan, right? Your daily actions create your income. Your daily actions create your income, okay? So not the busy work. We're talking about the 20% strategy, the 80% mindset, which means some of your daily actions need to be mindset focused. If you're not making money consistently, then you need money making systems, not motivation systems. If you are not making money consistently, then you need money making systems, not more motivation. You just need systems, you need clarity. All right. So, three non-negotiables. And these are going to look familiar because they're some of the things that we do in Magic Monday. One, lead generation, finding new people to serve every single day. You get to set that. Maybe you do threes. Maybe you're like, I'm going to find three new people every single day and engage with those potential clients online or in networking spaces. It can be in person, it can be online. Make sure people know who you are and what you do. Make sure people know who you are and what you do. All right. Number two is follow-ups and relationship building. Follow-ups and relationship building. So again, you could do three again. You could say, hey, I'm going to follow up with three people. This does not have to take a long time. It could take 15 minutes. It could take 30 minutes. It could take an hour, and you could have a magic hour every single day, which would be ideal to work on your business. So 80% of sales happen between the 5th and 12th follow-up. Having a system for tracking and nurturing leads. We've talked about this too, okay? Make offers and selling every single day. Could you imagine how much easier it would be and how much more confident you would be if you offered somebody something that you do that would cost money every single day? And if you are sending at least three messages for new people or meeting three new people, if you're following up with three people, you would have the opportunity to offer or sell every single day. It's that simple. So if you don't make offers, you don't make money. I think that's fair, right? Selling isn't about being pushy, it's about serving. Serving. All right. So I'm going to ask you if you implemented these three actions daily, do you think your business and your income would grow? I think it would. All right. I do. I really, really do. So here's your challenge. You've got a 24-hour challenge. I'm going to encourage you to do all three of those, but what's one action that you could take today that will generate income? So I'm going to make you think a little bigger. What's one action that you can make today that will generate income? Okay. You don't need to be perfect. You just need systems that are going to keep you moving. And so I would highly recommend, I'm going to go back to it. Uh, Write these down on a post-it note somewhere where you can see it, somewhere where you can check in with it every day. If you could start your morning off every morning like this, or do your meditation first and then do this, visualize yourself doing this, visualize yourself doing it well, visualize yourself making money, and then go do this. I would love to see like your business will transform. It really will. All right. So I'd say make it a 24-hour. And then once you do it in 24 hours, you have to do it in 24 hours. You have to. And then you're going to say, I need to do that again tomorrow. And then you're going to challenge yourself to do it tomorrow too. All right. So I cannot wait to see your results, and I will see you later.